first, we've had a few discussions this morning. We had a sort of open session gathering some opinions from the audience. What are some of your observations about some of the outcomes of that discussion, and perhaps the
I was particularly interested in the demographic data, which is, I think, something that was closest to your heart, if I remember rightly. You're very fond of pointing out that there just aren't enough people to do the jobs in the UK, and it seems that that's been well supported and, in fact, extended across Europe.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that was, in fact, Jean-Paul from Allsbridge who was presenting that, and I think it was all United Nations demographic data. So I think it was very much independent information. Do you think that perhaps we don't understand some of the long-term implications for this sort of the change in numbers of economically active members of society?
I don't think society understands that, no.
Yeah.
I think that is not a message that you ever hear people discuss. There is this assumption that there's a bottomless pit of talent, and whilst we can see that population generally seems to climb, I don't think that we've got the right mix of population going forward. And that's not easy for, I think, the general population to fully understand. Because all they see is lots of people. There's more traffic on the road, more queues everywhere you go. Yeah. So there must be more people. So there must be more people available to do the work that needs to be done. And I think that people don't realise quite that there isn't.
What do you think then about the business climate at the moment for outsourcing, particularly within Europe? I mean, have you experienced any changes yourself recently?
No, we haven't. I mean, we're fairly stable in the particular area of work we're in. The nature of our business is fairly long-term. Our commitments have to be long-term, so changes don't happen that frequently. And also, we don't directly get impacted by the general economic climate.
Yeah.
What does impact that, though, is people's propensity to be altruistic. So if they're feeling good about themselves, then they feel good about helping other people.
Yeah.
The one potential advantage for us, I guess, is that we're not actually after their money.
Yeah. So well, that's an interesting perspective, because I suppose most of us, when we're looking at the macroeconomic uncertainties, we're thinking more in terms of, will people continue to go out shopping? And you're saying that there is almost like a correlation there towards whether people will feel good about going and giving blood then.
I think people have to feel good about themselves. They have to feel good within themselves before they feel they want to help other people.
Yeah.
But the advantage that we have over 245,000 other charities in the UK, we're not a charity, but of those charities, to give that feel-good feeling, the altruistic benefit, is that it doesn't cost them anything. And so it's something that they can readily do if they feel good about themselves generally, without it having any other sort of impact.
Yeah. And then, I mean, moving forward in some of maybe the contractual relationships that you're involved in. I mean, have you looked at contrasting different regions? I mean, have you any experience of looking at some of these regions we're talking about, such as China and India?
Unfortunately, it's not something we can do.
Yeah.
It would be really too much, a challenge too far, I feel, for any country with such a diverse culture to take on board the way that we wish to behave and relate to blood donors.
Yeah.
I know how it all happens around the rest of the world, and I don't think our model would necessarily work with them either. I don't think it would be very easy for us to offer a service to the Chinese or the Africans or what have you, because fundamentally, culturally, things are quite different. But if we had tasks that were not directly related to the need for empathy, then I personally have no reason to think that it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
The IT developers and all that sort of stuff, I don't see where it doesn't really matter where they are, as long as they've got the appropriate skills.
Yeah.
And the transition and the translation of my needs to their abilities is the key.
Yeah. So the actual empathy around whether people give blood or not may well be different across cultures, but there must be a sort of a almost a business framework that supports the entire organisation as well.
Yes.
And I mean, would you imagine that that's the sort of thing that can cross borders? I mean, that's sort of the business framework.
Yeah, the business framework certainly can.
Yeah.
I am pretty confident that IT support and all those areas there are classic opportunities for China, India, and any of these countries.
It's the sort of things that effectively could be outsourced,
And I don't even
if you're not already doing it.
And I don't even think it's just necessarily a financial thing. I think that some peoples, and I'm not being in any way xenophobic about this or anything, just have a natural propensity for certain kinds of work.
Yeah.
And, the type of work, the mental approach to the work involved in IT support requires a certain type of individual, of which you find a reasonable number in other cultures.